here from Big Ears Audio for another edition of Love What You Do, Do What You Love. I'm here with Jess Spezza from Beckon Media. People that don't know anything about you, Jess, what is Beckon Media? And I know you're a photographer, but just tell me a little bit about Beckon Media.
Sure. So basically, Beckon Media is photography and video production.
Okay.
And the sort of work we do is very broad spectrum. A lot of our clients are corporate, from the very conservative to the more relaxed type of corporate. And we do lots of work for PR agencies and all sorts of things that we can get our hands on. So anything to do with photography and video production, we're there. We can help you out.
And tell me, so you're a commercial photographer, but it wasn't always like that, was it? Tell for people that don't know a lot about you, your journey, because you were one of those people that came from the corporate world.
Sure.
Tell me that story, because that's a really cool story.
Yeah, I came from a lot of different worlds,
so let's go back.
It took me 31 years to figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately it was to work for myself. I just had this thing. I think because my father worked for himself, that sort of rubbed off. I sort of wanted to work for myself. I wanted to be my own boss. So going back, I worked in the corporate world in finance. I worked in facilities management. I worked in sports management. I worked in massage. So I ran a team that provided massage services across the state. So I did all sorts of things. So I was a jack of all trades.
So when you left school, did you finish school?
Oh, that's going way back.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. So, but did you ever have?
Do you know how way back we're going now?
Tell me something. So, was photography something you loved, or is it something that as your journey, your life's journey progressed, is it something that you sort of said, hey man, I really dig this, I might give this a go?
Look, as I look back, I recall my uncle having those film cameras, those digital SLR film cameras, and I remember being interested at a time as a kid, as he was showing me these cameras, and there was a lot of interest there. And this is going way back, maybe when I was like 10, 12 years old. And I also remember in 98, when I was like 24 years old, I was getting excited. I bought a camera, I went overseas, and there was a bit of interest there. But when I was young and left school, I really didn't have a lot of direction. So I didn't have a lot of guidance as to exactly what I wanted to do. So I did a plumbing apprenticeship. So I did that for a little while.
Well, okay.
So as I said, a jack of all trades.
Yeah. And
moving forward 31 years, I did a stint overseas in Qatar, and I worked in sports management there. And being in a different world, being in a different environment, this is in the United Emirates, completely different culture and scenery. First thing you do is you take out a camera. We all had our cameras.
Yeah.
Me and all the expatriates that I worked with. And that's when those little point and shoot cameras came out, 2006, 2007. Everybody had those, and everybody was shooting. But I just kept shooting.
All digital. Yeah.
But I just kept shooting. I just loved it. I shot like 18,000 photos in like 3 months, and then in 6 months after coming back to Australia, it was like, okay, what am I going to do? What do I want to do with my life? I didn't want to keep traveling and working at these sporting events because I was getting a bit older. I wanted to sort of settle down a little bit. And I still had the camera in my hand, and I still wanted to take photos. And I thought, and I really enjoyed photography. I love photography, but it was more of a tool. It was more of a medium for me to get what I wanted, which was to work for myself.
Okay.
And ultimately, I think what a lot of people strive for, we want the $1 million homes and things like that, but I think ultimately we strive for is freedom.
Yeah, you know, it is self-fulfillment, isn't it? Isn't it? So freedom, a sense of, because when you work for yourself, and I've had this discussion with other people, you do, and there's a lot of hard work, but the trade-off far outweighs all the stuff that you have to do to get to where you got to go. Is that sense of freedom. You are the master of your
That's right.
Of your destiny.
And in saying that, working for yourself, you're working 1,000 times harder.
Yeah, man. There's no freedom's one thing. I mean that's a sense of freedom that you know.
Knowing that you have the freedom. I recall years ago when a significant point of time was that week. I had a full-time job and I was doing photography on the side. I was building the client base up and I was building the equipment base up, and then it was time to leave in September 2010, and I left. And I won't go into the build-up of me leaving, but I left my employment after 3 years. Good, stable job, paid well. My mother thought I was crazy. That week I was at my mother's place, and on Tuesdays she looks after her nieces, her granddaughters and grandchildren, and my niece was there. And I remember it was like a Tuesday during the day, and my niece was sitting on my lap. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this is great. This is why I've done this.
Yeah.
This is in the middle of the GFC, by the way.
The
fact that I had the freedom, the ability to be there with my niece, who
in the middle of the day
is my goddaughter, in the middle of the day, middle of the working week.
Yeah.
That to me was a magic moment. That made me realise that week that I made the right decision.
So you started, sorry to cut you off, so you started doing wedding photography? Is that how, like, I mean, one doesn't sort of just buy a camera. You obviously did some courses. Well, what did you do?
I did my course. I did a few short courses, and then I went to do a diploma. I was doing helping out a wedding photographer, but at the same time I was doing a lot of corporate work because I was in the corporate world.
Yeah.
So I had a network.
Ah, cool.
So one of I guess the key things, what allowed me to leave in the middle of the GFC and begin picking up work and being self-sufficient was the fact that because I've done all these different jobs over the years, working in so many different industries, I had a good network.
Oh, cool.
You know, I wasn't 18 out of high school. I wasn't 18 out of photography college.
Sure.
Without a network, I was 31. Was I 31? I think I was maybe older, 32, 33. And I had a network of people.
Fantastic.
And thanks to social media, that helped as well. But the network of people was like, hey, you do photography? Great.
Yeah,
you need something. We trust you. We know you. So that sort of was the propellant, so to speak, to help me take off when I left full-time employment. Because I only had a small client base at that time.
Yeah.
I only had enough just to replace my existing income.
But that's cool. But then you had a foundation to build on, and that foundation gave you the jump to grow the business. Because really, once you've got a bit of cash flow, that gives you the flow through to actually grow and so on. And where do you see the business now? Like, how's it? Have you seen it grown? Like in the last few years
so
since you
it started off with photography. Now we do video production. We have a really good client base, from large corporates to government bodies, and we do all sorts of work, which is fantastic. There's a lot of variety in what we do, and I think when you look back at all the different industries I've been in different work, I think I've always been attracted to having variety in my life. So no day is the same. It's always different, which is great. Got 5 photography contractors. I've got a small team of videographers.
Fantastic.
And we're very nimble. We're very flexible. I'm a little bit old-fashioned like you. It's about
looking after
amazing customer service. It's old school, but it's the
no,
mentality that seems to work.
It works, man.
It seems to work. I don't advertise.
Yeah.
So I don't advertise at all. I did Google AdWords for about a year, and what I found is that it made me lazy. I was getting the phone calls, I was getting the inquiries, but the quality wasn't great because they don't know me.
Yeah.
So the quality was coming in, and it was quite poor quality, and it made me lazy, and it stopped me really giving my best to my existing clients. So I cut the Google, and then I gave 120% to my clients, and the business grew from there because they shared me around. They referred me
That's
to,
right,
to
because
their
you
colleagues.
become hungry. Okay, because if you
I
sit
realise-
back and the calls come,
Yeah.
then there's no hunger.
That's right.
And then what you do, then what happens is, oh yeah, cool, yeah, I'll take that, and basically it's a bench. You love what you do, and that's why you do it. And the reason you do it is because it's your passion, it's your drive, and with that, I think your clients see that too. And I think it's infectious, isn't it?
It is, and I think this morning was a perfect example. At 8:30 a.m. I got a 2-year-old son, and I work partly from home and partly from an office.
Yeah.
And I have that flexibility, that time to spend.
Fantastic.
That's the key.
That's the key.
That for me is when things get tough, and when you get a little bit lost, I kick myself in the butt and say, look, you're in a great place because you spend a lot of time with your son.
Yeah. Which a lot of people that go 9 to 5, and I'm saying that's wrong, but you don't get that freedom. But like I said, the trade-off is you work hard, and they're the niceties that they sort of get.
Absolutely,
oh, beautiful, man.
I took him for a walk this morning, and that was just just special little moments like that I can have, those little grabs that I can have throughout the day, because I do work partly from home. My hours I can make the call and spend time with him.
Yeah.
But, the underlying premise is, if you want to have a successful business, you've got to work your ass off.
That's right.
So it's not like I work 12 hours a week.
I know.
Like,
but the key is, the whole thing of this is that, because if you do love what you do, then it doesn't really feel like work. At times it feels like it can feel like a grind.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, it is actually. I think that it's the fulfillment that you get out of doing it.
Yeah. I get a lot of fulfillment out of doing it. And you still have tough days. Like anyone, you still have tough days.
And you've got to pick yourself up, mate.
And that's right.
That's it.
You've got to pick yourself up.
Nobody, and you can't sort of sleep at the wheel for too long.
That's right.
That's
right.
the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I recall, you're having tough days when I was working 9 to 5, and you can have a few lazy days.
Yeah.
And you might annoy your boss or your colleagues, but you can get away with it.
You can just fade in the background for a little while, and then when you're ready, you come back.
If you have a
lazy day when you're in business,
but if you have a lazy day in business and your lazy day affects one of your clients, who is worth $50,000 to you a year, and you lose that, that's a significant effect on from a lazy day. Beautiful. So you've just got to be quite careful with that.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jess.
My pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
It's so nice talking to you, man. I know you've got a
Can
great
we go
story.
for another half hour? I'm enjoying this.
We're going to be here for a while.
It's the first time I've done this.
Thanks, mate.